Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of EdgeMasterGaming, where today I'm covering the latest Project Lazarus release that was dropped on April Fool's Day of all days, the Hammer Update. A 50 cal handgun fired through the use of a hammer has been added to the mystery box. I mean, if you're going to be in the midst of a zombie apocalypse, you definitely want to have any weapon that you can get your hands on. However, I personally just prefer distance over something up close and personal, but to each his own. Moving on, this update is probably one of the biggest that I've seen in a while, and of course, I'll be highlighting what I believe to be the most important parts of it here in this video. Now before we get started, if you are a fan of Project Lazarus, definitely check out the Discord. Link is in the description box below, along with my own Discord as well. There you'll find a complete list of everything that was done in this update. Alright guys, without further ado, let's get started. On April Fool's Day, the new Hammer update released the Whizzbanger, a new hammer-fired 50 cal handgun which can only be obtained in the mystery box. It comes out of the box with one 50 caliber round per use and 64 rounds in reserves. It can one-shot up to round 32. Pros about this weapon, as you may have guessed, is that it has piercing. However, the biggest con about this weapon though is the fire rate. It's simply because you really have to pick your spots. There's a great chance that you're going to get overrun by the horde for sure if you 1. Don't know how to train zombies in this game, and 2. You have to ensure that your headshots count toward more than just one target. But if you don't believe me, you can see it in action right here. Moving on to the packed version of this weapon, Mjolnir, shout out to Thor, continues to use one shell at the ready but now has 96 in reserves. It carries the shockwave module, where firing emits a damaging shockwave, and this weapon can now one-shot up to round 43. So a little bit of background on the hammer release. Logitech actually had to patch the game a second time, as there were missing upgrades after using Pack-a-Punch. Those were ammo reserves, damage, and additional distance to the module radius. When this weapon fires, there's a shockwave visual effect that is emitted right after the hammer strike. You may or may not have noticed this on the Unpacked version, but it is there as well. However, when it's used, it doesn't seem to be all that effective, as you can see here. Now, I'm assuming that the wave is supposed to actually do some kind of damage to the surrounding zombies. I just don't see it. Other problems with this weapon that I found are, after reloading, you may or may not be able to recover quick enough to use the hammer again while in smaller spaces. The consequences of this will get you surrounded if you're not careful. It's quite obvious that this was meant to be a semi-joke weapon, which is probably why it was released on April Fool's Day. Oddly enough, I can honestly say that this isn't even the worst weapon in the game. I did find one good use for it though in the higher rounds, as it seems to be effective during insta-kill, provided of course you do have some room to move around. All in all though, I'll say that this weapon shouldn't be used unless you're in a group. You guys need some support when using this, as I believe it's not even worth it solo. I mean, don't get me wrong, I encourage everyone to try it out. I just consider this a great support weapon. Also, I believe it would be better, and hopefully Logitech will add this in the future, and that's if the hammer actually had a stunning effect to the surrounding zombies as well. Similar to the beanbag round from the CQB, except it hits all the zombies that are within the shockwave radius. Or another option could be like the Masada's Defender module, where instead of having a 15% chance to slow the zombies, it would be anywhere between 75 to 100%. And of course, the shockwave should do some portion of damage. Not sure how much though, but that's totally up to Logitech. And finally, I'll leave with this. Did you know that you can do a magic trick with this hammer? You can actually make it disappear and reappear in the blink of an eye. Watch this. Next portion of this update is something that I had never believed would happen in a million years. This game is now playable on console, more specifically Xbox and PlayStation. This is really a big deal. I think that this probably changed the game for Lazarus and was a necessity for the community to grow. Just the other day I saw that there was over 1,200 players on this game, which is unusual these days. It's usually around 500 or so. Anyway, if anyone out there has played this on both PC and console, can you put your comments down below? I'm really curious to get your perspective on differences in gameplay. Third thing that I want to cover for this update is the point system, where the minimum starting points is now capped at 10,000. On one hand, I support this because it forces a player to actually have to work a bit to get perks or weapons. Then I realized on the other hand that this really doesn't affect your average player too much unless they're coming into a pretty late game. And before I explain why, you have to know how the point calculation for entering a game works. So the calculation is the round number divided by 2, and whatever you get, you round that up to the nearest whole number, and then multiply that by 500. That's the amount of points that you would earn when entering any round. If you don't get it, let me give you a quick example. Say you get into a game, and you enter it on round 29. If my calculations are correct, you would get 7,500 points. So, if you're capped at 10,000 points, that would mean that the cap ends at round 40. I don't know about you, but I just don't know too many players that enter a game beyond round 40. So to me, this cap just isn't that meaningful, I guess. Next up is the leveling portion of this update, where now the experience gained at the end of each round will now max out at round 50. Well, if you're like one of the many people, including myself, who likes high rounding in this game, this may be upsetting to you. Just so you know how drastic of a change this is, after becoming a Deathmaster in this game, you level up each time by getting 60,000 experience points. So basically the round experience calculation was something like this. Round number times 50 experience is what you got for completing that round. In the early rounds, I mean it's very small, right? Round 1 you get 50, round 2 you get 100. But if you can get to round 400, that's 20,000 experience points, a third of your overall requirement to level up. So that means that you can level up by this point once every 3 rounds. And I know because I've done it, which you can see here. So it's a little sad to see this in this update. However, what I would like to see changed in the future, Logitech if you're checking out this video, I think the game is at a point where more players are high rounding. Maybe add some more badges for getting to round 60 through 100. That would definitely be cool. In addition, maybe then change the XP cap to around 100. Just my thoughts. And the final part of this update that I want to cover is Recoil Recovery, where after firing, the weapon will slowly settle back to the initial point of aim. So I'll demonstrate this using the Ravnica. Basically, as you can see, after I aim and fire, it slowly goes back to the center once the weapon stops firing. This is supposed to help counter recoil, making it more manageable. Anyways guys, what do you all think of the new hammer update? Please let me know in the comments down below. Also remember to keep that notification bell on. And as always guys, remember to have fun, take care, and God bless.